Hey, did you hear Marco won the Masked Singer in Finland? Hey, you want to watch? I think you want. Yeah. Hey, all, this is Adam with the Inkstand channel. So, I came across recently a comment from a subscriber, and they shared with me an interesting fact, and I had no idea. And then, of course, I had to go down a new rabbit hole. The fact was this: Marco from Nightwish just won last week the Masked Singer in Finland. Now, this subscriber of mine who shared the information with me, and then I saw it again on the Discord. Someone had brought it up as well, but this subscriber had sort of expressed a little trepidation about the format of shows like The Masked Singer, and that's cool. I mean, to each their own. But one thing that I wanted to share with you is music can either unify or divide, and I am really personally against the idea of tribalism in music. Musicians tend to like music, they tend to like good music. I like all kinds of music. If it's well done, I'm a sucker for talent. I'm a sucker for any kind of music that's well done, except the stuff that has auto tune. If it is not real voices singing real music, I don't jive with it usually. If it sounds auto tuned, I'm not interested. I tend to prefer musicians who write music and play music as well as sing music. That's not to say that I don't appreciate vocalists who are purely vocalists. That is an instrument as well. But I tend to prefer musicians who create their own music, even if it's a cover that brings something to it that's new. And that's just how I am. So I will admit that I am a bit of a sucker for shows like The Masked Singer. I've watched The Masked Singer here in the States. Um, and part of that is me being a voice coach and wanting to hear the difference sometimes between the trained voices, the professional vocalists on The Masked Singer, and those who are not known professionally for being vocalists, and seeing how that alters the way that they perform. I am a voice geek, so a lot of that stuff is interesting to me. Nonetheless, so Marco just won the Masked Singer. And so then I dove into that rabbit hole to watch all of his performances. And I'm not probably not going to react to his performances or break down his performances on the Masked Singer. But I was so thrilled to see that he had done it, and so thrilled to see him doing Gangsta's Paradise and Backstreet Boys and these other forms of music, because musicians appreciate any music done well. So in celebration of Marco winning the Masked Singer in Finland, I went on a Marco tear. So I'm sort of going to proclaim this the week of Marco. And how can you start the week of Marco off with anything but the Islander? Now, I've seen a lot of different reactions to this. I've seen a lot of different performances of this. But as we do here on the Inkstain channel, we got to talk about the poetry. And this is beautifully written. Now, this is a poetic form that we would generally refer to as a ballad. And I know we often talk about slow songs, love songs. We often refer to those as ballads, but that's not actually the definition of what a ballad is. A ballad is generally a song that has a meter, not necessarily what specific meter that is. That made no sense. It doesn't necessarily have to have a specific type of meter, as in certain types of classical poetry and certain types of verse poetry, but it does need to contain a meter. It also needs to contain a rhyme scheme, and it has to tell a story. Now, we often confuse ballads with love songs, and while I dig a good love song, that's not really what a ballad is. This, The Islander, is a ballad. It tells a story, it has a rhyme scheme, and it has a specific meter. And it's beautifully done. Tuomas did he's such a phenomenal and brilliant poet altogether. But this is something that touches me deeply. I hear something like this, and it makes me think this is what a bard is supposed to sound like. Now, many of us are familiar with Blind Guardian, the Bard song, and that's a great song too. But it's sort of a ballad that a bard would sing about bards, which is kind of cool. But this, I close my eyes, and you all know I'm a fantasy geek as well, and I can see, if you're familiar with the Wheel of Time, that epic series coming out in a video form soon. I look at Marco in this, actually in some other recordings even more so, that are in smaller venues. This is going to be live at Tempere, I believe it's pronounced. But this is, to me, what a bard is and what a bard does. And in this case, kind of a metal bard saying a folk song. Let's get into it, and we'll move as we go.
Joo, kyllä tää näyttää aika viihdyttävältä. Marko, kuka? Okei, joka tapauksessa tää on vakava tilanne. Täällä on parikymmentä tuhatta ihmistä ja risat. Ja sitten tässä on yksi mies ja kitara. No muut kurjat.
I would talk about like a bard from the future. I mean, I know that's a bass and a guitar, but I mean, kind of look at it like a metal lute, you know what I mean?
Vai? Okei, näin se menee. A Norman by a seashore at the end of day gazes the horizon with seawinds in his face. Tempest-tossed island, seasons all the same. Anchorage unpainted and a ship without a name. Sea without a shore for the banished one unheard. Lightens the beacon light at the end of world, showing their way, lighting hope in their hearts. Once in their travels homeward from afar.
Okay, so just to bring up a couple of things here. Again, I love that instrument, and I know that that Tank in his videos talks and breaks down the whole instrument. I'll send you over to his channel to find out the tech specs, but it's just so damn cool. And we get Marco's personality here, which is so playful and just so much fun. And there's tens of thousands of people there. I think he said something like 22,000 people a moment ago, and he's just commanding the whole space. Just, as he said, one guy with a guitar, in sort of a thrust stage, and he's commanding the whole space, and with no effort whatsoever. Now, Marco's voice, it's like a chameleon to me. His voice and Floor's voice, they blend so well, and we all know that. But one of the reasons why is they have these sort of chameleon-like voices that bring out the character of a song so incredibly well. And when we're looking at the lyrics of this, and I mentioned that it has to have a meter and it has to have a rhyme scheme. And, with the lyrics initially, an old man by a seashore at the end of day gazes the horizon with sea winds in his face. That hard A sound, that A sound is where we get the rhyme there. Tempest-tossed island, seasons all the same, Anchorage, unpainted, and a ship without a name. I mean, we're setting the scene here because, as I mentioned, a ballad has to tell a story. So this part here is setting the sea, setting the scene. The sea. It takes place by the sea, but we're setting the scene, and he does that beautifully, and he plays with it. Now, what you're going to hear here, I have not found anywhere that actually gives a translation of what he says, but looking at other performances of the song, and Marco tends to kind of follow the same structure in his interactions with the audience. It's almost a scripted thing that doesn't make it disingenuous. It's just he kind of uses the same lines with the audience in interaction because they work. And what he's going to do here, or at least what he does in other videos where he speaks English at this point, is he's going to sort of invite the audience to sing along, say, do you want to sing this? Yeah, no. And he plays around with that a little bit, and then he moves back into the song. And in this case, it's going to be back into the verse structure. And it's then going to go into the refrain, which is just gorgeous. So, let's get back to it.
Eli jos mä soitan sen kertosäkeen, niin te varmaan laulatte mukana. Laulatte? Okei, sit se vedetään. This is for
he goes into the refrain here.
Light at the end of the world. Horizon crying. The tears he left behind long ago.
Okay, so that's just gorgeous. So, this is for long forgotten, light at the end of the world, horizon crying, the tears he left behind long ago. And that's going to set the mood and the timbre of the verse, not the timbre of the music, but the mood of the story that's being told here. And he does it beautifully, and the audience is right along on this journey with him. So good. And here we get another example of just what a phenomenal guitarist he is. Okay, we'll go back and hear that beautiful part again. But one of the things that he does so beautifully, and he does every time he plays guitar, he really shows a virtuosity. He moves from picking, with a pick, a normal standard pick, to a finger picking while still holding on to the pick, and it's amazing. If you've looked at anything about Marco, I mean, he started attending an academy of music at 15. The man's been doing this forever, and it shows. It's effortless. It's beautiful. We'll go back. We'll see that again. I hate to interrupt something so beautiful, but I mean, he's still holding the pick in between his fingers while he's doing the finger picking.
Albatross is flying, making him daydream. Time before he became one of the world's unseen. Princess in the tower, children in the fields. Life gave him it all, and I know the universe.
Okay, so let's break this down because it's important as far as the poem goes. The albatross is flying, making him daydream. The time before he became one of the worlds unseen. Princess in the tower, children in the fields. Life gave him it all, an island of the universe. Um, Now his love's a memory, a ghost in the fog. He sees the sails one last time, saying farewell to the world. I mean, it's such it's a tragic story. If you have the chance, watch the official video of this. It's so cool. It's an incredibly cool video, and it's got that. If you ever heard of the myth of Sisyphus, now Sisyphus was a Greek character. He was punished. Not going to go into the whole story, but he was punished. He had to push this boulder up a mountain, right? And he would push it and push it and push it, and then he'd get to the top of the mountain, and then the boulder would fall. And the whole point is he constantly had to push this boulder up the mountain and then watch it fall back down, and then he'd have to push it up and watch it fall back down. And this is a very, what we call Sisyphean story, with this sort of lighthouse keeper cursed to forever sort of keep the light on for ships not to dash themselves on the rock of the island. This is talking about him daydreaming about the things that he's lost, and which of course is relevant in the sense of the refrain. This is for long forgotten light at the end of the world, horizon crying the tears he left behind long ago. I mean, this has been going on a very long time, clearly.
Now his love's a memory, ghost in the fog. Sets the sails from last and saying farewell to the world. Anchor to the water, seabed far below. Wrestling his feet and a smile beneath his brow. This is for long forgotten.
So beautiful.
Light at the end of the world, horizon crying the tears he left behind long ago.
Okay, so now musically, we're almost getting into something that is familiar in a madrigal format, although this is not a madrigal. And it's also something that's fairly popular, common is a better word for it, fairly common in folk music. You have a soloist and a guitarist or a lutist or a harpist or whatever instrument they're playing. And when we get to the emotional rise of the song, we start to have the accompaniment come in, and it adds depth, it adds richness, and then often, as we will have here, another vocalist comes in to harmonize. It's beautifully executed here. I mean, I'm willing to bet if you were sitting in that audience, no one even notices Kai climbing behind that drum set. I'm willing to bet nobody notices any of these people coming onto stage before they start playing. I mean, we've got Kai now, we've got Troy. Floor's going to come on momentarily. I mean, how can you miss Floor? But it's just the way it comes in so seamlessly in support of what's going on out front with Marco. We'll take back and look at that moment again.
Long ago.
It comes in on the downbeat too, which is great.
So long ago.
And not to get all voice teacher, but you hear how he opens up that vowel, and there's Floor. how we're gonna open up here, y'all.
This is for long forgotten, light at the end of the world, horizon crying, the tears are left behind so long ago. Oh yeah. So long ago. So long ago.
The openness of the vowels, when they bring the sound, they play with that so beautifully. Okay, so I'm gonna bring in something else here. We will go back because this builds so beautifully. It's a crime not to go with the build. But I want to point out, I mentioned in another video that the technique that Marco uses, and how I believe and kind of feel his technique has developed a little more open form since Floor, became a part of the band. What you see Marco doing here is, as he's going higher, he's more relaxed, and I think that's what I'm seeing here and what I was pointing out before. The jaw comes down, it's relaxed, the vowels are open, he's opening up. Now, Floor has a larger apparatus in terms of her mouth, so it's more obvious when she does it, but if you watch Marco carefully, you'll sort of see how that jaw drops. Another thing also pointed out by a voice coach online, or on YouTube, but it's worth repeating, is that bass is really heavy. I mean, that instrument is really heavy. And the position that Marco is in, you'll often see Marco stand in a very centered, very, very fixed position when he's singing and playing. And that is going to allow him to use the musculature and the apparatus to support his voice. As Floor often states when she's talking about voice technique, relaxation is so important for the preservation of your instrument. And by your instrument, I mean your vocal apparatus. What we're seeing here, Marco drops that jaw. He's in a great position for a guitarist. As someone who plays guitar and sings, I can tell you, this position that he's in is, that with that, that right leg up on the pedestal, supporting that guitar, that means his back doesn't have to support the guitar. He can be in a more relaxed posture, letting the guitar and the instrument rest on his leg. He's also in a more upright position, which opens up his body. And as Floor has stated a number of times in her master classes, and I think it's so great that those of us who are sort of coming to the Nightwish party at this time can talk about Floor's master classes and then point out what she does and what Marco does, as an illustration of what she's talking about. But his posture is very good here. Everything's opened up, and that relaxation, it's not going to require a huge amount of air to get the sound that he wants, because the energy and the breath support is there. And when that jaw opens, the sounds are formed. It goes in a relaxed way through the vocal folds. And you'll note that it comes from being a speech pathologist, but you'll note that sometimes I say vocal cords, sometimes I say vocal folds. It's the same thing, what I'm talking about here. And the relaxation is what allows you to go on tour, being able to relax your apparatus and yet the vocal apparatus while letting the rest of your body support everything you're doing, provide energy for the sounds that you're making. That's what allows you to do so many shows and not be living in agony. So we see Marco here. He's going to drop that jaw. It's going to open up. And his sound is going to open up. And particularly as he's starting to do some of these more stellar runs that go up into his register, it's still a very, very supported sound. And you'll hear when he wants rasp, when he wants grit, he has it, but it's not going to hurt his voice. Now, I've heard some interesting things about Marco's career and how at some point he had nodes on his vocal folds, and then he had to retrain his voice to be able to come back. And that's it's a testament to the retraining that he's done, whether that be with Floor or anyone else. But just the mastery of his technique is what allows him to do some of the stellar things that we're going to see during Marco Week here on the channel. Let's get back into it. I mean, of course, Floor is always effortless. You see, he's opening up. He's not straining at all. I mean, it just hits it perfectly. Just bam, right there on the note. And we're going to do that again, because that's what I'm talking about. When he does that, I'm not going to sing it. But it's so tempting to do it. But when he goes into that so long ago, and it's like a stretch into that rasp, and it's just like, it's almost like it's flung out of him. And it's beautifully done. And that is open, relaxed vocal folds in a closure that allows him to do that with his voice the way he chooses to. And it's just beautiful, just beautifully done. I mean, you hear it's completely open here. And that's just placement. I want to play that again because, all right, this is a testament to how tight this band is. Marco is out there on the thrust of this stage. Floor is behind him. Now, yeah, I'm sure they've got, in their in-ears, I'm sure they've got a good mix going. So she's hearing what he's doing, whatever. But they're so far apart. And yet the harmony on this run from both of them is just absolutely in sync and flawless. Here's that one. Oh. Now this is, he knows he nailed it. I mean, look at the smile on his face, and look at Floor. If he didn't have that huge bass in front of him, I mean, look how, I bet you would hug him if he didn't have that huge bass in front of him. Oh, man. And the way Tuomas, the way he comes, I mean, you all know me. I'm rarely speechless, but it's not, and it's not a reaction video, because I've seen this, and every time I see it, first of all, it moves me emotionally, because beautiful things move me emotionally, and this is absolutely beautiful. But bands go through stuff, okay? They go through stuff. If you've ever been in a band, you know bands go through stuff. You go through your lead guitarist while you're on a break. You know, you're getting ready to lay. He puts his hand through a tour bus window, and you things happen. I mean that's a story for another time. But things happen, and to see a band that is that tight musically, and then just the joy that they seem to have supporting one another is something beautiful to see. Okay, we've got more Marco stuff coming up over the next couple days. I hope you enjoy it. If you like what we do here, don't forget, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. You know, I'm so grateful for how subscriptions have been coming in lately. I try to interact as much as I can with the subscribers that come in. It's a community. I love interacting with you guys and girls and non-binary folk, you all, and it's so wonderful to share. And I learn things from you guys about the band, about the songs, about the music. I love getting your suggestions on what I should look into and dig into next, what you want to see. I want to respond to the things you want to see. So please like the channel, subscribe to the channel, like the video. If you like what we do here, give a thumbs up. If you don't, go ahead and express yourself. Give a thumbs down. I look at that stuff too to try and figure out how I can give you the best value and out of the content that I share with you. So like, subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified when we put down another video. There's going to be a few coming up in rapid succession here. And as always, y'all, take care of your mind, body, and spirit. It's so important right now. It's always important, but specifically now, it's so important to be kind to yourself. And remember, your words have power, so choose them wisely. This is Adam with the Instinct Channel. Hope to see you in the next video. Take care.